OK, folks, it's competition time. I'm offering massive prizes for anyone who could tell me what the hell was the point of Keir Starmer's trip to Saudi Arabia, apart from the fact he just loves getting on aeroplanes and going abroad, doesn't he? Mainly because it gets out of a country that has had enough of him, that has complete contempt for him. He's gone past the point of us criticising him, feeling like he's a bad Prime Minister. We're now laughing at him. We've got contempt for him because he is so catastrophically useless. That's why he keeps leaving the country, because while we laugh at him back here, if he goes to Saudi Arabia or France or wherever, he can pretend he's a statesman and, you know, get respected and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, so let me know if you have any idea why he was in Saudi Arabia. But he's all set to head to Belgium soon for an EU defence summit. He'll be the first British Prime Minister to attend such an event since Brexit. He'll be formally invited. It doesn't happen until February the 3rd, but he was formally invited today by European Council President Antonio Costa at their meeting in Downing Street. That's today. So he'll be off for this EU Defence Summit on February the 3rd. This, of course, follows earlier in the week Rachel Reeves, becoming the first British Chancellor since Brexit to attend a conference of European finance ministers, EU. So we voted to leave the EU. Why is the Labour government, why are these Labour cabinet ministers, the Prime Minister, the Chancellor, attending EU meetings? What are they doing there? They seem to think that we're all going to go, it's really good that you're getting ever closer to the Brussels gang, that you're forging closer links to the EU. In fact, the way we're going, we're all but going to join in all but name, aren't we? We are watching the death of Brexit, and these people, these idiots, Starmer and Reeves, seem to think that's going to be popular. No. We didn't vote for this. What are they doing?
Well, I mean, the Conservatives were in power for plenty of years after we voted to leave in 2016 and didn't really manage to properly leave the EU and make a success of it. If they had done it, would have been harder for Starmer and his lot to bring us closer and closer now. But, yeah, I haven't really got any hopes of between now and 2029 Brexit being done properly, as I've been frustrated about it not being done properly for the previous several years. I think it's very concerning when you've got David Lammy as our Foreign Secretary, who said on air, and I think he doesn't want to take the comments back, that the Brexiteers in the ERG are not just as bad as, but worse than Nazis. Those were his words.
He's always calling people Nazis.
And Keir Starmer is a massive Ramona. I think we haven't got a single Brexiteer in the cabinet.
No, we haven't. Every single member of the cabinet is a Remainer.
Yeah, and look, I understand. Obviously, we're going to need to talk to the EU and negotiate with them about some things. He's going to some defence summit. OK, maybe slightly understandable to talk to them when you've got stuff going on in Ukraine and the Middle East and whatnot. But it does look to me like they are starting to cosy up more and more and more with the EU, and yeah, I think we could be rejoining in all but name.
Yeah, and it's a betrayal of the people.
Absolutely.
As I say, what I find very curious is, I mean, they're so trapped in their own bubble, in their own little socialist Labour bubble, their EU-loving bubble, that they think that what the nation wants is for them to get ever closer to Brussels. No. What we actually want you to do, Keir, is to get ever further away. That's what we voted for. You know, so I don't want the Prime Minister sitting in an EU defence summit. I don't want the Chancellor sitting in an EU summit of finance ministers. That's not where they should be. In fact, it's really alarming that they think they should be there.
I mean, it's he's really fulfilling all the conspiracy theorist ideas that he's some sort of globalist puppet. I mean, he said in an interview previously that he prefers Davos to Westminster, and so you've got a lot of people concerned about him, you know, cozying up to all of these international organisations. And I think he just shows, as you say, they live in a bubble. He just likes to show us every single day another reason to think this man is completely out of touch with the British public. And the polls show that it's the case. People can clearly see it, that this guy doesn't give a toss about what's happening in his own country. You know, he'll happily go jet off and be wined and dined in the EU, whilst the pensioners back here are freezing and choosing between heating and eating, and the farmers are having to close down their farms. He doesn't care about them. He doesn't care about the people of this country. He just likes his own little champagne socialist bubble.
Yeah, he does, and I think it's these are the kind of socialists, all these lefties in the cabinet right now. Some of them really worrying lefties. They're kind of sixth form student politicians, but they're the kind of lefties who just don't like Britain. So their notion of the way we should be is we should be part of a kind of global unit, or at the very best the European bloc, no borders, you know, mixing, and you know, forget Britishness, let's have Europeanness. You know, that they don't like this country. It's what lefties are like.
I mean, you've got a Home Secretary who held up a sign saying refugees welcome. That's the woman who's now in charge of stopping people from breaking into Britain illegally. I mean, and you've got a cabinet. They're all public service. You know, aside from maybe James Dyson, if you count him as someone in the cabinet. None of them know how to run a business, so no wonder they're throwing all the businesses under the bus. Surprised that people are saying this isn't a budget that's going to grow the economy. Oh, really? Oh, I mean, Rachel Reeves doesn't know anything about the economy.
I tell you, that's the most astonishing thing. You know, I mean, talk about gaslighting the nation. That Keir and Robert Reeves, Rachel Thieves, they stared the nation in the face and said that £40 billion tax grab was a budget for growth. I mean, you know, really? What do you think we are, stupid? That wasn't a budget for growth. That was a budget for death, for economic death, stagnation, decline and death. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
I mean, you'd think this is a budget which is really anti-business. Surely the businesses would all be against this. But there was actually a great article in The Spectator the other day explaining the CBI's influence on the government. So the CBI is the big lobby group that represents business. And you think that they go to the government and say, you know, these policies are terrible for business. But what this article explains, the CBI, that's made up of all the people who sit on the boards of the big, large corporations who they're not interested in small businesses, they're not interested in the little man, and they are very, very happy to have taxes and regulations brought in that make it very hard for small businesses to survive, because they want there to be high barriers to entry so that their big corporations can carry on dominating the market.
Yeah, and they can just about suck this up. They can afford this. I mean,
they'll buy all the farmland when the independent small farms all disappear.
It's extraordinary. I mean, to say this government is incompetent is the understatement of the century. We are in the hands of fools. We're in the hands of useless fools, and extremely worrying, very worrying indeed. Let me know what you think.